Okay, good morning, everybody. I think we have enough here for a quorum. I'm going to just do a quick count. 4, 9. Yeah, and with those online, we are good to go. So we start this morning with the Corporate Services Committee meeting, which is mostly a budget workshop. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda. Moved, seconded, all in favor? Great, thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. I'll turn it straight over to the CAO to start us off this morning.
So thank you. We are going to revisit some budget tax implications. The tax amounts that you originally received and tax increases have not changed. However, the implications that you were looked at originally, we revisited them and upgraded them, and the staff's here now to give you the updated numbers. And I'll pass this over to Wayne and Noel to start the process. Wayne?
All right, thank you. So what has happened on the original PDF slides, and Adam's going to bring up the new presentation here, but on the old PDF slides, the average increase for residential property had an incorrect amount on it. When we fixed the assessed value that it was referencing in the formula, it was about a 10% increase. So I've redone those slides so that the board can see what the average increase was in case that was what influenced the decision on some of the approvals at workshop. During this workshop, we can reverse any of those approvals that were made in the first one, and the board can decide on if they want to change. So we'll just run through the slides, and at the end of that, we can decide if there's any that we would like to change. So this was the original slide here, and as you can see, it's 18 cents. It was actually $1.42. But it's the same $81,000 tax requisition. So this is for grant and aid. This is the current grant and aid approvals. There was $61,000 given tentative approval. That was $4,000 for Take a Hike Mental Health Foundation, $2,000 for Penticton Area and Access Society, $5,450 for South Okanagan Women in Need, and $50,000 for the Summerland Baseball Association. The FTE ask, this was the original slide. And this was the revised slide. So you can see the only thing that changed on there is the average increase to residential property. 3 was the original slide. And that's the revised slide. Number 4, this was the original slide. And this is the revised slide. So it's still $49,000. Slide 6, this was the original one. And this is the revised slide. Now this is the one that changed a little bit more. This is for the electoral area coordinator. This was the original slide, which at the time that these slides were made, this was suggested as a part-time role. That's why it was $46,000. That changed and adjusted before workshop, and it was verbally updated at workshop. So this was the actual cost for that electoral coordinator role of $112,000, and then the actuals for the average property. So this was the FTE summary. 2 of the positions were not funded, which were through taxation, which was a senior energy specialist and scale attendant. This is the results of all of those positions that were approved. The 360 includes the electoral area coordinator being at the 112. So in the PCRs, these changed as well. The fire department implications did not change, as that was using a different formula because it's a service area. So those were accurate. This was this impacts of the PCR 5 through 9 and the revised 5 through 9. This was PCR 18 and the revised 18. This was the 100 homes one. And that's the revised 100 homes. This one here also changed. This was the loose bay operator stipend. Incorrectly, Oliver and Area C were on it, where it's only supposed to be taxed through Area C. So there's the revised for Area C. This is one for 21 through 24. And 25 through 28. This one's 29. PCR 30, which was the Caledon court booking system, was originally presented as net neutral. At workshop, that was changed. So this is the actual impact of that change, with all revenues from the courts going into reserve. It's 31 to 33. $34 through $36. The original summary was for $476,000. And there's the revised summary. And then I've included the current approvals. So the asks were for 476. The current approvals were for 386,000. And I'll just list off the current approvals just so we're all aware of them. Emergency management reserve increase was PCR 1. PCR 2 was Okanagan Falls reserves. PCR 3 was Colmont Tulameen reserves for the fire department. PCR 4 was the Willowbrook Fire Department. Willowbrook transfers were changed by the director to $3,000 a year in 2026. PCR 5 is Caledon, which was removed by the director. PCR 6 was Fire Department Armada, which was removed by the director. PCR 7 was Fire Department Anarchist. The director made the change of $25,000 in 2026 and the full amount in 2027. PCR 8 was Building Inspection Reserves. PCR 9 was Mosquito Control Reserves. PCR 10 through 15 were already included in the budget. Those were for the victim services, IT, and then elections. PCR 16 was removed by the CAO before the workshop. PCR 17 was already included in the budget. That's the Frank Venables debt servicing. PCR 18 was removed. It was for the heritage conservation, removed by the directors. PCR 19 was 100 homes, which was accepted. PCR 20 was loose bay operator stipend, which was accepted. PCR 21 was the Rec Commission Tulameen. PCR 22 was Rec Commission Caledon, which was removed by the director. PCR 23 was Parks and Rec Armada. PCR 24 was Parks and Recreation Area F. PCR 25 was Community Parks Area B. PCR 26 was Regional Trails. PCR 27 was Area A Parks. PCR 28 was the pool in Karamias. PCR 29 was Skaha Estates Park Maintenance. PCR 30 was Caledon Court bookings, which was modified by the director to show that all revenue was going into reserve. PCR 31 was Okanagan Falls Reserves, which was removed by the director. PCR 32 was Okanagan Falls Cemetery Reserves. PCR 33 was extra programming. PCR 34 was Similkameen Recreation Prescribed Trial. PCR 35 was Similkameen Rec Booking. PCR 36 was Similkameen Pool Swimming Lessons. PCR 37 was removed at workshop as artifacts storage was no longer needed. PCR 38, Normato water increase to reserves. So those were the ones that are currently approved. Would the board like to modify any of the approvals at this time?
So now would be the time for someone to make a motion if that was the case. And if we're comfortable at this stage, we can leave them as they are.
And they can be changed anytime between now and third reading. So you're not locked in completely to them.
Yeah, that's always the case. We can change right up until almost the last minute. I'm not seeing any hands at this time, so we'll leave it as is for the time being.
Okay. So now we'll move on to another FTE position that has been proposed. You've received the email. It's for a fire services manager. So we'll bring Deborah up to explain the position, and then I will go through the financial impacts.
Okay, I'm going to just go to Director Federico quickly. You want to?
I'm going to recuse myself even from this conversation just for a conflict of interest. For those that declare conflict of interest, because my ex spouse is one of the captains on our fire department. So I'm going to stay out of fire
Okay,
conversations.
in an abundance of caution, sure. Okay. I'm going to go either to Deborah or the CAO if he wanted to add anything, but go to,
Nothing to add.
okay, go ahead, Deborah.
Thank you. This position is to oversee the 8 fire departments currently that we are responsible for, to provide support to the fire chiefs, especially on the administrative level of the work that's being done, to provide guidance. And some of the things that need to be accomplished are a set of standard operating guidelines across the region that all follow a set of training standards that everyone will follow, things that will take significant amount of time, and we have fire chiefs who are part-time workers who don't have time to keep all those balls in the air, and we're trying to support them and make their job easier, but also provide the oversight that is required by the regional district from a legal standpoint, as we are the authority having jurisdiction and are responsible to ensure that these things are being done appropriately at all the fire departments that we manage.
Okay, any questions on this? I'll go to Director McCordoff.
Thank you very much. Esuias has its own fire department, which is not managed by the regional district. So I see on here there is a cost for Esuias on here. Am I correct, or how does this work?
So 20% of the salary would go to emergency management and 15% to 911. So under the 911 service, we have one employee currently who has full knowledge of the 911 system, which does not give us any redundancy in that area. And the 911 system that we manage strictly affects all the fire departments in the regional district. And so ensuring that that system, how we have some redundancy and knowledge and understanding and the ability to respond is critical. And it gives us that strength. From there, from emergency management perspective, this person would be able to work with task force, which has other regional district municipal fire departments involved in it, the mutual aid agreements that municipal fire departments are participating in, working with maybe potentially joint things that we can do together for training, for bringing things forward, for even potentially even purchasing, and having economies of scale for everyone.
Okay.
Thank you
What
very
the-
much. I think we needed that explanation. Thank you.
Okay, Director Holmes?
But to follow up on that, have you worked with municipalities on this?
There's been just some discussions on this. We had a joint meeting with all the municipality fire chiefs invited to it, and we did talk somewhat about this. But we didn't want to go into it too far at this point. But it would be the mutual aid agreement is something that they've all worked on over the years together, and this person would be able to represent the regional district of that place.
Yes,
Follow up, go ahead.
I'm not comfortable moving forward with this until I've talked to the people back at my municipality. I think a lot of the things that you've talked about, I don't think Summerland needs. I think we're doing fine without such a person.
Mm.
I'm just not sure if it's really going to serve Summerland's purpose. So, you know, we're looking at a big tax increase already with additional staff, you know, adding more on top of that. I'm not so sure if this is the right time.
Okay, Director Bush and then Monteith.
And so what have we been doing in the past to do all this? Have we been covering it or is just stuff not getting done?
There's a lot of things that still need to be done. There's the standard operating guidelines for the regional district, the training standards set. It's not that training isn't being done, training is being done, but we don't have a common set of training standards. So when different fire halls respond into the task force, if they don't have the same level of training, there's not the level of trust. There's all kinds of things that go into the mix of that and can cause confusion. I'm not saying it is causing confusion, but it can. And who should be doing what at what level?
Okay, follow up, Director Bush.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't disagree with this, but I do think the cost of hiring another manager is too much, especially in today's economy. Same with the area director manager. Those two people, that's a lot of money. And I just don't know if it's that necessary. Thank you.
Okay, got Director Monteith and then Coyne.
Thank you. Through the chair. So I understood that the Fire Chief Association hired somebody that was supposed to be doing exactly this, doing all the standard operating procedures, working on bringing them together. Is that person not been doing this job already?
I'm not sure, CAO or
You go ahead,
Deborah?
Jim.
The person works 1 day a week on this. What the objective, what we're trying to do here with the fire service manager is to have one person that has direct control and manages the 8 fire departments, which adds consistency within the 8 regions. In camera, there's some more information that you're going to hear about where there's things that we can improve, but because it's got to do with staff, it's an in-camera situation. We're having 8 fire chiefs. I'm not saying that there's inefficiencies, but we would improve the efficiencies, economies of scale, consistency in the way that we have training, the equipment that we purchase. I believe I wasn't here in 2018 or 19. There was an attempt to do this. It didn't work. I believe that with the staff that we have now, that we can make it work. And ultimately, we will have a better fire services that is consistent throughout the region. And that's something that I think we entirely need.
Follow up, Director Monteith.
Thank you. Through the chair. So if I'm understanding correctly, this would be in replacement of that other position. So could you explain what the criteria of employment would be for this person? What sort of skills would they have? Would they have superior skills than all our fire chiefs combined? Like I don't want to see a fire chief be put in this position to manage other fire chiefs that doesn't bring any skills to the table that we don't already have at the regional district.
Our goal would be to have a highly trained and experienced fire chief, person who has the training in all levels of fire services, a management of fire services, and experience in managing fire services.
Okay, follow up?
So I've done a lot of research on a regional approach. So I guess my concern is coming in as a regional fire chief. Does it have to be a regional fire chief? Can it not be a coordinator? Like, it just feels like you're bringing in a manager to manage managers, and that doesn't feel efficient to me or to taxpayers.
Okay, CAO?
So we're not recommending that it's a regional fire chief. It's a regional service manager, fire manager. One of the just to step back a bit, the fire chiefs came back, not all of them, but a number of fire chiefs came back and actually recommended an advisor, so a fire chief advisor. I looked at it, and this is you're hearing what I'm recommending, because an advisor does not have the power. That would be a position that would be redundant. The chiefs don't necessarily have to abide by what the manager's doing. An analogy would be right now we have four departments with a number of divisions. Right now, for the fire departments, we have essentially 8 departments. With this new recommendation, we'll have 1 department with 8 divisions. Each fire department still would be semi-autonomous, but it's a division, not a full department, where they would have full authority to make changes without consulting with us, without consulting with each other. So we're just trying to uniform and standardize our fire departments.
Okay, Director Coyne? Oh, first, Deborah had a comment, and then,
I was also just going to say that if we've hired anyone under the level of a manager, they would not have a sense of authority. They would not also have the training we need for someone to come in and be able to give good guidance to the fire chiefs. We have fire chiefs with experience. I'm not suggesting that in any way, but they have limited time, limited resources, and are trying to manage at a level that the expectations are much higher than they were 10 years ago. So we need someone who can come in and support them in ensuring all these aspects of managing this department are being done correctly, including assessment of assets, including assessment of the training levels of the volunteers, and making sure that we as a regional district have covered our responsibilities under being the authority having jurisdiction. Just wanted to add that.
okay. Director Coyne?
Yeah, I'm in support of this. We don't have full-time fire chiefs. We don't have the increased reporting and all the things that have been coming down the pipe have just, they just keep increasing and increasing. I get that I'm one of the lower end of this pay structure at 70 cents on average per residential property, but I'd be more than happy to pay even more into this program if that was what it took to even this out, because I see the value in it. One of the first things in my first term on this board was dealing with fire departments, and it comes up over and over and over again, and it's become very, apparent that we have a system that needs somebody to help do some oversight on it. So I'm in support of it. I understand where staff are coming from. I mean, I'm not a big fan of adding to the bureaucracy, but at the same time, this is one area that we have had continuous issues with, and I just want to see it cleaned up and move forward. And I don't see that being able to be done with part-time people. My fire department is having a hard time with it. My fire chief is almost full-time now. We have a support person that helps with some of the stuff. Like, this is an ongoing thing for all of our departments. So if this person is able to do that, and I understand now that the Fire Chiefs Association is down to, I believe, 3 active members, maybe one more, but it's not functioning the way it used to function. We got to do something here.
Okay, I've got Director Roberts and then Director Monteith. Go ahead, Director Roberts.
Yes, thank you to the chair. I'm in support as well. I do look at the cost and kind of go, boy, I made some choices in my life. Maybe I should have stuck to fire. But what my question is in regards to budgeting, if we look at this particular role, it seems to be going into 911 as well, EOC. Isn't there some ways to also divide it up rather than just in the fire service areas? Because this particular person seems to be taking care of a role that's going to be regionally wide in regards to, motor vehicle, interface work with BC wildfire, all these things, because this person is connected to that part of our organization around the EOC, ESS, and 911. So just a question in regards to the possibility of spreading out some of the cost.
Okay,
It is possible to have more of the funding spread between emergency management and 911, especially 911, because I believe that is an area where we will utilize this person quite a bit. And there will be a lot of training required under that service to bring them up to speed. I also don't want to see their focus on our fire services diluted too much, in the sense of, I feel strongly that we are in a position where we need to button things up. We need to get ourselves clearly aware of everything that's going around, happening with the fire departments, and making sure we've covered off our responsibilities as the authority having jurisdiction.
CAO?
So just want to add to that. So we have split up some of the wages for emergency 911 and the protective services. Right now, we don't really know at the end of the day, the actual percentages. We will keep following it. Our main goal right now is to assist the fire departments. With the fire chiefs, their main responsibility as a chief should be the administration side. And then their lieutenants or captains, or whatever system that they have, is operations. That's not the case. Right now, they're doing both. And at the expense of the administration side, this will help the chiefs on the administration side and be more consistent across the board.
Okay, I've seen Director Roberts has a follow-up to that. Go ahead.
Thank you. And in regards to expanded responsibilities as well, from what I've read in some of the material, that from the fire commissioner, that this person most likely will also be doing fire inspections and issues that deal with the regulation in regards to BC that's been brought down by the commission. And I believe that that was even supposed to be outside of our fire areas. It's supposed to take all areas of the regional district. Is that true? Because again, I know that is something that's really come on recently, but we've talked about it for years.
Go to the CAO.
So the Office of the Fire Commission did a 180. One of the things that the board approved, and we took the recommendation to the board, is that we get the Fire Commission to do the inspections. They came back to us and said, no, we're not doing that. We have to do the fire inspections, and there's going to be a report coming early in the year that is going to make a recommendation for the fire chiefs to do inspections. So this is not discretionary. It's something that the province brought down, and I'll let Deborah expand with that. Deborah?
So, one of the things that I would want this person to do is develop a program for how we're going to do inspections and investigations, and to ensure that there potentially are other municipalities, small municipalities, who may want to also tap into some of this, but I don't have a plan in place at this point. And this is something that this person would be working on and helping me with, to ensure that we move forward with it. We did have some funding set aside in general government. I'm sorry, Jim, I can't remember where it was set aside for inspections and investigations. Electoral area, that's right, electoral area, sorry. So there's a possibility that may be where we cover off inspection investigation components. I'm not sure how that's not my area of expertise, I'm sorry, of where to put that funding, but it is a fire-related responsibility.
Okay, go to Director Taylor and then Director Monteith. Still wanted to comment? Go ahead, Director Taylor.
As I see it, we've got some issues regarding sort of HR and managing 8 different divisions and the reports. So I can see some advantages there. There seem to be some potential liability issues. I'd like to understand those better. I'm wondering how this individual will help. One of the shortcomings I see, and I don't know if it's throughout all divisions, but just the long-term capital planning. And I'm just wondering, is that possible for that individual? And I don't quite see how, and it's not necessary that I understand it, so long as it can get done. And then lastly, just wondering whether the costs can be deferred somewhat by pushing this hire out further into 2026, just to reduce some of the expense if we were to take this on. So just some general comments there.
Okay, staff.
This person would absolutely be doing asset management with all the fire chiefs and would be going out and supporting them and making and ensuring where the status of the equipment is at, going through the organizing the assessment of the vehicles, even doing some of the assessment, assessing the facilities that we have and ensuring their longevity and where we're at with them.
Okay. CAO and then Director Coyne. I thought I
just-
seen a hand.
Just on pushing the hiring back, this figures that you're seeing is as of January 1st. We're not hiring anyone January 1st. We have an awesome HR department, but they're not that good. Sorry. We're looking at probably April or May by the time we post the position. It's a new position. It has to, a proper job description has to be established. We've committed to the fire department to ask for their input. Ultimately, they don't have a veto, but we will be asking for input, and having posted and knowing the number of applicants we've been receiving for the different people that, yes, some people do want to retire here. It's impossible to go through it immediately. We're looking at probably, I would estimate at least 100 would be applying for this.
Okay, follow up Director Taylor, and then I'll go to Coyne.
And just one last concern, I guess. If you were to hire this person, I see it being a tough job. I mean, this individual's, the chiefs are unique. And I don't see how bringing someone in from Vancouver or Calgary or something like that is going to really be the kind of knowledge that is going to transfer, or skill set that's going to transfer well to our rural type fire departments. But at the same time, they need something that they don't have now. So where are you going to hire somebody like that? I'm not sure.
Okay, Director Coyne.
Before I ask my question, I just want to say to Director Taylor's point, I sort of disagree with you on that. I think bringing somebody in with an outside perspective, with a professional perspective, and who isn't part of the current system that continues to perpetuate the current system is exactly what we need here. But that being said, I think, so if I understand correctly, like the money that we're paying right now for the position for Tony's position, that would be rolled into this budget. And individual directors could possibly, because I mean, the fire departments are paying into the Fire Chiefs Association. That money could then be redirected to pay for this as well. Like, we don't have to be funding the association because it's not necessarily going to be needed now, right? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Director Monteith, did you still want to comment or? Okay. I would go ahead, CAO.
So we're not asking for the board to make a decision at this moment, just like we asked for all the other FTEs that will go in camera with additional information.
Okay. I will add one comment, kind of follows on the discussion there between Director Coyne and Director Taylor in regards to qualifications or experience. I think a different perspective is good, but they do have to have some experience in a rural type fire department. A city fire department versus a rural is a totally different animal. And that will just butt heads if you get too big of a difference. They need to have some experience there. And that would send us backwards rather than forwards. So, seeing nothing on this one, CAO?
If the board decides to go through with this, the selection committee will include one fire department, city fire department, one of our chiefs, and there'll be other people that know what they're doing. And I think we can do a good job. I will use Deborah as an example. We invited the city of Penticton to be on the selection committee. We invited a fire chief, and the chiefs themselves chose who should be on there. And then we had various staff members. So we know what we're looking for, and I believe we can come up with a good applicant.
Okay. So that's going to be discussed in the final decision will be in camera. Is there anything more straightforward here?
Yeah, I'll just run through the financial impacts if I can get the PowerPoint back up, Adam, please. So as Deborah alluded, the 35% that gets taxed is to everybody. And you can see the impact there of the 35% of the roll. The other percentage of the roll gets through all the fire protection services, and this is what the impact would be for all those protection services. Now, this shows the full impact of the fire services manager year one if they were hired from January to December, without removing the $30,000 that the fire departments pay for the protective services coordinator. So if we take out the protective services coordinator 30,000, the Karamias Fire Hall would save $2 per household, to dropping it to $7.19. Okanagan Falls would drop $3.65, making it $12.89. Clomont Tulameen would drop $2.68, dropping it to $9.44. Willowbrook would drop $1.03, making it $16.81. Caledon would drop $5.08, dropping it to $17.98. Narmada would also drop $5.09, dropping it to $17.96. Anarchist would drop $3.72, dropping it to $13.12, and Apex would drop $2.26, dropping it to $8.01. Now, year two, the
Got
roll.
a couple of questions here.
Okay.
I'll start with the Director Bush and then Monteith.
Can we bring
When I'm not sure on the declared conflict of interest, we're still discussing the same item. I think she'd have to stay out until then, but go ahead, Director Monteith.
I just want to point out that Caledon paying 16,000, that's almost exactly what my fire chief makes in a year. Like, that's a lot. That's a lot to add to my budget. So it's cost driven. Like, I know that we need that governance. I know we need that support. I know we need to bring them together, but it's the cost. It really is the cost. And the taxpayers are going to say that too.
Okay, continue on, Wayne.
Year two, this would be the 35% split. And this would be the impact on the fire departments. The reason why year two is important is if Okanagan Falls becomes a municipality, then their share would drop to be more like the Sage Mesa and Princeton portions, and they would have to be distributed to the rest of the fire departments. It also shows that the truck was purchased in the first year, so there will be no truck in the second year. So this is more like what the role would be. And again, you would have to subtract the $30,000 portion from the other areas as we did in the first year.
Okay, I see several hands all of a sudden. Director Coyne?
Yeah, the OK Falls Fire Department, is that gonna be transferred over immediately, or is there been discussions about keeping it as like the fire department in Carameas as like a joint regional type approach? Has that been discussed? Like,
CAO?
Thank you. Right now, that answer depends on the province. It's if the province keeps its commitment, I would recommend, I would see the fire department being taken over by the OK Falls, but not until at least 2028. And there will be other services that the board is going to eventually get a report from staff that's is going to ask for us to be the contractor, the main service provider, until the council of the day comes to the board and says, we want to take it over. So it's very likely that in 2027, the fire department will still be under the regional district.
Okay, Director Monteith?
Thank you. So I'm just questioning some of the financial numbers. So Caledon and Apex having around the same taxation, but the fire manager cost difference is quite substantial. And then Willowbrook being 188,000. How do they run a fire department for 188,000 a year? I'd love to know that. Like, I want my fire department that cheap. How is this possible?
CAO?
I'm supposed to say thank you for the question instead of that's a very good question. I was told by some people. So that is one reason why we need a fire service manager, so that we could take a look at consistency, the service level. As far as the cost is concerned, the cost would be directly associated by the number of volunteers, the number of practices that they have, the amount of equipment that they purchased, the debt servicing. There's a lot of different variances that would affect that. But having a manager that is taking care of the 8 divisions doesn't mean that the costs are going to be the same, because they won't be. The service level will dictate what the costs are, but there would be a consistency in how that services is provided. Deborah?
And further to what the CAO has said, Willowbrook has a lot less responses, particularly, and they're a smaller department with fewer people that they train, fewer people that are attending different practices, etc. So there's a level of cost associated with the number of people that attend practices and the extra training that has to be done for things like medical first response, etc., EMR, FR licenses and things like that. So that does impact the cost of doing business, depending on, and every response costs money. So the more responses that a department does, the more expensive it is for the department.
Okay, Wayne, go ahead.
Through the chair, I'd also like to add that each fire service area is different in size and different in the assessed value. If you look at the Willowbrook, $3,584 increase in Willowbrook costs the average house $20.93. For Caledon, $19,062 cost them $26.95. So it's quite a vast difference to the average homeowner for the amount of money that has to be
It's based on
requisitioned.
the assessment.
It's based
not
on
their
the assessed
actual
value of the properties inside of the fire
Fire
service.
Okay, Director Taylor had a question.
Just registering the concern. I'm not sure when the fire service would be transferred over. And I guess we'd like to see that. I sort of envisioned that being one of the earlier ones, whether that's 2028 or 2027. I don't know. I think that's still at play. And I'll let you. Anyway, my real point would be the asset purchases we're talking about. I see us again, Okanagan Falls paying for those in year one, and then we're out in year 2 through 10. And I'd just like to know how we'd recover that expenditure. And so that's 2 things for the CAO to come back on.
CAO.
So that's going to be some negotiations between the new council CFO and our CFO. So there's going to be a lot of splitting the assets. That's not just equipment, that's also reserves. I've gone through this. I commit to the board that the recommendations will be fair, and ultimately the board has final say.
Okay. I think we can, oh, Director Bush, and then we'll move on.
Well, this is the figure that I don't understand, like almost 28,000 for Karamess Fire Department. It just seems to be a lot of money for, like Director Monti says, it's probably more than our whole fire department wages for the year. Like, it's a lot of money.
Okay. It's a valid point. Move on to the next one, Wayne.
So through the chair, we can make a decision whether you would like to go in camera on this or finish the workshop and go in camera at the end.
What's the next one?
The next section is tax requisition limits.
Is this the only item in the
That's-
in-camera portion?
Yes.
Then we should probably finish it if that, but,
I'll make a motion to go into camera.
okay, so I think if we're gonna do that, yeah, that in accordance with section 91C of the community charter, the board closed the meeting to the public on the basis of labor relations and other employee relations. So that's a motion to go in camera. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded, thank you. All those in favor? Great. Any opposed? That motion carries. So I'll give Adam a moment and the CAO, one willing to move that one. Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? That motion carries. That brings us to Director Watt. I'm going to just turn it over to you quickly. Go ahead.
Thank you to the chair, and if you'll bear with me a moment. So thank you for the opportunity, and I don't like blindsiding people, so I'm sorry I didn't give much information here. Each year, UBCM recognizes elected officials for years of service to the residents of British Columbia. This award is presented at the annual convention. I am pleased today to present a 20-year service award to Chair Mark Pendergraft. That's why I didn't tell you. So Chair Pendergraft was actually acknowledged as a 20-year recipient at the 2025 UBCM convention. However, he was unable to attend the presentation ceremony. And just as a very brief background, for those of you who don't know, on December 15th of 2005, Mark was sworn in as the Electoral Area A Director. He has continuously served as the Area A Director from that day forward. On December 15th, 2011, he was elected Vice Chair of the RDOS Board in a decision that was ultimately made by the toss of a coin, and I'm hoping at lunch we get further detail on that. From April to June 2013, he served as acting chair while the current chair was on leave to run for provincial election. Mark was then, as the current chair was in fact elected to provincial seat, was elected chair of the RDOS July 4th, 2013, as a result of the resignation of that chair. He served as chair until November 2016, when he chose not to run again as chair. And we had a brief pause where I think Chair Kazakovich was here. And then in November 4th, 2021, Mark was once again elected chair as the RDOS and has retained that position to today. On behalf of the RDOS board, on a personal note, I'd like to also suggest that for the last over a year, I've had the privilege of spending additional time with Mark. And truly, I think his knowledge base, his dedication, and the leadership he has shown is something that this is not just a congratulations, but a thank you for what you've done for us. And this is the certificate. That's why we look at it.
Can I jump in and say, as Mark's grade 3 teacher, I saw this happening many, many years ago, and I'm very proud of him.
Wow, yeah. Thanks. I wasn't expecting that. And you caught me when I was making a kind of a half joke that you had to keep it brief. All right, moving on with the agenda. Item B turns us to a closed session again, that in accordance with section 91E of the Community Charter, and the board closed the meeting to the public on the basis of the acquisition, disposition, or expropriation of land or improvements if the board considers that the disclosure could reasonably be expected to harm the interests of the regional district, and also under litigation or potential litigation affecting the municipality. So looking for a motion to go in camera. Moved, seconded, thank you. All in favor? Great. Any opposed? That motion carries. Again, I'll ask Adam to put us in camera and for the CAO to clear.
Can someone speak up? I just need to check if my audio is working.
We can hear you fine. Can you hear
Thank you,
us?
and I can hear you.
Perfect. Adam, I missed your thumbs up. We're ready to go. Thank you. If we've got enough to create a quorum, I just got to do a quick count. 4, 6, 8, 11. We are good to go. All right, the others will be joining us shortly. We would normally be going straight to development services, but the CAO had asked if we could juggle the agenda just a little bit because he may have an appointment he has to go to. So I'm going to go to him first. Over to the CAO.
So thank you. This is in regards to a partnership with the other municipalities at one region working together, continuing, along with what we're going to be presenting, just to let all the directors know. We had a CAO meeting last week with the other 6 CAOs, and we're looking at different services that we can actually provide. A couple of meetings ago, a director stated that there should be some services for economies of scale. This is one of them, and there's 3 that may be coming to the board early in the new year where we're partnering up with other municipalities. In this case here, we're looking at having a partnership with Princeton, Suias, and Karamias for occupational health and safety coordinator at no additional cost to the taxpayer, but an additional increase in service level to the taxpayer. With that, there is a PowerPoint presentation and a recommendation, with the recommendation being that we will have the occupational health and safety second position at no cost, and I'll read that out after the presentation. Carmen?
Okay, before, I'm just going to mention this is G2 on our agenda, just for those that are looking for it. So over to staff. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Pendergraft, and good morning, directors. Ms. Mongeau, our Occupational Health and Safety Advisor, to my right. Mr. Zaffino and I would like to highlight a few updates for you on the RDOS OH&S program and our efforts to obtain recognition from the BC Municipal Safety Association and WorkSafe BC. Maybe. The gadget. Adam, can you advance for me? Excellent, thank you. We have long recognized the impact of a strong safety culture has on our operations. We have made it a part of our annual goal setting and have been successful in seeing our injury rates below other local government operations, which defines this as our classification unit. This classification unit includes improvement districts, fire brigades, water boards, cemetery boards, municipalities, and regional districts, to name a few. Our experience shows us that by putting our attention to safety programming and supporting employees to do the work in a safe manner, we see many positive results in our operations. The Certificate of Recognition is a voluntary program that is facilitated through the BC Municipal Safety Association and WorkSafe BC. It rewards employers who not only implement and maintain an overall health and safety management system, but promotes proactive safety practices and monitors for continuous improvement. We are fortunate that we passed our external audit in 2024, and thanks to Ms. Mongeau, who became certified as an auditor, we completed a successful audit internally this year, which has put us on track for more improvements in 2026. Organizations who focus on how work is done through things like workplace inspections, the development of safe work procedures, educating employees on industry best practices, including safety discussions at all levels of the organization, which includes new, young, and mature employees, and who learn from near misses to prevent more serious incidents, are all ways in which we lower our overall risk levels. As a result of achieving success in these areas, our premiums are lower, as reported by WorkSafe BC on an annual basis. By achieving CORE, we have tools in place to better assess our areas of vulnerability. Those areas that we did not score as well in become our focus for the next audit. And we must demonstrate improvements to retain our status. By doing this work, we are rewarded with lower premiums, and this allows for additional support and programming to be developed, something we will be sharing beyond our own operations. We know there are many costs to not keeping safety as a focus in our operations. Not only does it cost more for premiums when injuries are higher than our classification unit, the cost to have an employee away due to injury is high in a financial sense, but it's also detrimental to team morale. When employees do not feel safe at work, either physically or psychologically, the organization develops a reputation that's damaging and is very difficult to repair. Employers who do not address compliance matters are also subject to orders by WorkSafe BC. These orders, as we know, can shut down operations and can be very costly to address in the moment. The cost of not complying with health and safety regulations, as shown in the two examples here, can be significant. The instance where the municipality failed to address workplace conditions of exposure could have both immediate and long-term implications for the employees. The second case demonstrates that it isn't enough to say we provide training and oversight. This organization showing here was not able to show the inspector the documentation was in place to prove they had sufficient training program in place for their solid waste operations. We have been working on our programming and compliance efforts in managing an overall health and safety system to ensure we reduce our risks. We are at a place now where we can expand the scope of our support to provide our expertise to additional operations, which includes more direct time with our 8 fire departments. Due to our successes, we have achieved savings that we want to pass on not only for our internal operations, but include our member municipalities as well. We are pleased, as Mr. Savino has already mentioned, to welcome Karamias, Osceola, and Princeton next year to support their health and safety needs and help them with their overall compliance and programming. We understand it's difficult to have this specialty in a small organization and know finding contractors to provide this service can be costly. We are looking at our enterprise models and maybe offering other opportunities to include cooperation where it aligns best. And Mr. Zaffino may want to expand on this now, or?
There's still negotiations on the other 3 services, and you will be hearing about it. However, you see 3 municipalities that are interested and signed on. There is 2 more that are looking closely at what the success is going to be, and we're hoping that they're going to sign on in 2027.
This is an example of what we've received for our 2025 savings. And in our report that we get from WorkSafe BC, you can see this, the premium savings, and then what we've achieved as a result of our core success, which is significant. And we're really proud of that.
CAO.
And if I may have, can you go back 1 slide?
Yep.
So you'll see the premium savings, that $61,000 goes back into direct savings to the 165 services. The money on the right is the core savings, and we've got that for 2 years now. And it's stowed away in a nice little reserve which we're recommending how we're going to fund the second position. That plus the 3 municipalities that have already signed on will be paying their fair share where there's no profit margin in there. So they all have contracts. So it's not something that's new to the municipalities. It's something that they're going to get more direct services rather than phoning Vancouver, Kelowna, whatever. They come to us, and the staff would be able to resolve the issues immediately. Also, one of the primary benefits would be the fire departments. One of the things that they do is they are responsible and have the biggest issues for safety. If this happens, we now have somebody that is dedicated to that. We do have staff that works with them already, but this is going to be at a higher level, and the expectations would be that staff would take over more of a burden than the fire chiefs. So with that, when you're ready, I could read the recommendation.
Okay. I think you might as well read the recommendation, and then we'll see if there's any questions and stuff.
That staff request approval to establish a second regional occupational health and safety coordinator position within the enterprise unit, funded entirely from the financial benefits received from WorkSafe BC for successfully passing the certificate of recognition review for the last 2 years, and from the contribution of the participating member municipalities.
Okay. Director Coyne, go to you.
I'll make the motion.
You're moving it already? Okay, let's move. It's seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Make sure I'm not missing any hands online. Go ahead, Director Taylor.
Yeah, I haven't got my head around fully the cost savings. If we've already achieved 100,000, are you suggesting we can achieve another 100,000? Like, how do we recoup that a second time?
Okay, over to CAO.
So go back to that slide. That 45,000 you saw on the right, every time that we pass the core review, we continue to receive that additional funds. That saving is a continuous savings, that 106,000. So if that 61,000 is continuous, so as long as we continue to improve our safety, that saving can be easily lost if we don't. So, and that 61,000 then goes back essentially to the 165 services. But that 45 is ongoing.
So it comes every year if
Every
we
year.
pass.
So far, we've
Before.
got over 90,000.
Okay. Any other questions? Discussion? Not seeing any hands. We have the motion on the floor. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. One was opposed? Okay. I think it was a slow hand, but I'll double check. Director Gettens, were you opposed or in favor? Maybe she's not hearing us, so. Well, she's been flashing off and on the screen and it's, yeah. I thought it was just slow, the hand myself, but if it's not, we'll get that corrected. Back to the regular portion of our agenda,
Yes.
and that will put us to Development Services, item C1, variance in Area G, CAO.
Thank you, Chair. This application is seeking variance to the wastewater service requirement under the Regional District Subdivision and Development Service Bylaw 2900/2024 in order to allow a proposed subdivision that will result in 2 parcels and an approximate land use of 372 square meter parcel that will serve on a on-site sewage disposal system. And the recommended motion, it should be on your screen.
I believe it is, but this is the motion that was made at a previous meeting and is carried over, but I'm just going to go to the CO first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, you are correct. This is a motion that's on the floor. It has been moved and seconded, so it's open for discussion.
Okay, CAO.
So at that last meeting, it was directed that I would follow up and determine what the Okanagan Basin Water Board and the province would do if this board approves this. In discussions with the Okanagan Basin Water Board, I did a what if. What if it's the subdivision is 99% of a hectare? What would that do? The response was it was 100% has to be 1 hectare. There is no leeway, and we could be classified as not eligible for grants. So that, yes, it's OIB, and that we're talking about to the Okanagan, but we wouldn't be eligible for all grants anywhere on the provincial side. So we're talking about the big grants. So that's why I came back and I asked the staff to bring back this recommendation using the denial.
Okay, Director Taylor?
Strongly opposed to this. I'm in support of the staff recommendation, but I'm strongly opposed to the motion that's on the floor. I'm not arguing that it would be nice to get changes to this policy or rule or whatever it is, but at the moment we don't have it. And at the moment, it would make us arguably out of compliance with the funder's decision-making criteria. That effectively, again, if they choose to exercise it or not, we don't know, but it could take us out of the running on, well, 14 million in my area, 25 million for the regional district as a whole. And why would we do this? So that one individual can subdivide his property. The individual has options. They're not attractive, but there are options. And there are some properties that you just can't do what you might want to do because of the bureaucracy or whatever. And that may be the situation that this individual is in. And I sympathize with him. But that's, you know, are we going to sacrifice 25 million and untold staff time that we've already spent and future grant opportunities that may be in your area for one zoning application? And I'm first off, I'm flabbergasted that we're even here at this point, but if we are, I suggest we backtrack.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? Director Roberts, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. And as has been spoken before in regards to other issues, I think it's important to have an open mind. I don't think it's just in regards to this one particular individual and this one subdivision. First of all, I take offense to the process at the provincial level that's basically bullying us through policy, but not through legality. There's no legislation. The legislation in regards to areas that are not under zoning, this would actually fit. And those things are written in law or in black and white. I find it very challenging, especially when the OCP in regards to Area G, when the discussions and things were brought to Headley, the importance and concern of the community that the heritage lot sizes stayed the same or were able to stay as the majority of them were to maintain form and character, also low-cost housing, which a lot of people don't have any other options in the valley because it's all large agricultural land. And discussions around septic and sewer. We've got, community water. We have a history of the water system in regards to some heavy metals that they're dealing with, but there's been no coliform or any effluent that's been involved with fecal matter through history. That particular piece of property, I'm old enough and been around long enough to remember when there was actually another building on it. And it, again, at no issue. This going forward, and again, there's a form and character. Headley in of it itself is quite unique. It's on a drainage basin coming from the 20-mile creek. It has fairly fast-moving groundwater, and it's built on a gravel bed. So that's why it's historically not had an issue, and that's why it was the forms and designs of the sewer septic systems were and are approved by Interior Health. I'm representing, the people of Headley, that we've also had letters come out from the community, or at least one I know has gone to the regional district, stating again that as a group of people that this was their desire from day one. They don't feel like they've had a part of this discussion. They feel that the issues that have been brought forward are, again, based on policies and backroom discussions with the province that basically bully us into decisions that aren't necessarily written in black and white. I do understand the apprehension of the directors in regards to the large grants. I still just feel it's unfortunate that the province and or other agencies are basically setting us up as a blackmail rather than just make it a law. Make it something that's in black and white, because it isn't. But thank you. That's my bit.
Okay, Director Federico?
Thank you, the chair. I echo the sentiments of Director Roberts. I appreciate that we put ourselves at risk of larger provincial grants, but at the same time, we're being handcuffed to this. They want to see more housing. They want to see more attainable housing. They want to see all this, but then they're like, no, you can't do that. You can only do it on larger parcels of land. Well, in our area, as you start to subdivide, you're going to have smaller parcels of land. You're not going to be able to have the bigger ones to subdivide to get to where we need to go. Interior Health doesn't feel the same way as the province, which is why they're approving some of this stuff. I've had multiple conversations with them that if they're on a quarter acre and you're connected to a community system, then there's less cross-contamination. So in this case, in Headley, they're on a community water system, so cross-contamination is far reduced. So the province and the OBWB are not listening to us when we keep coming back going, we need to make changes, we need to densify our areas, we need to be able to bring in smaller square foot homes on our smaller parcels, and they're not listening. And so if we don't start pushing back and we don't start saying we're not gonna take this, then little change is gonna happen. And septic systems have come such a long way since this 1 hectare rule that we're the only ones who follow. No one else in the province even knows about this unless you're on the OBWB. It has to change, and we need to be pushing back because they're not listening.
Okay, Director Monteith?
Thank you, through the chair. So this, I guess, is a question for the director. Director Roberts, would you be willing to commit to doing a liquid waste plan as part of this? Because I understand that that would be part of the solution. And then I have another question if that's.
Okay, I'll go to Director Roberts.
I certainly would.
So, sorry, just to follow up.
Sure.
I think that having that plan would allow you to be able to do these sort of things. Is that not correct? Yes. So, I guess just looking at process, is there an urgency for this application? Could you get that liquid waste management plan in motion before this is addressed?
That would be a better question, I think, for staff.
Yeah, I
Ben.
don't know where it fits within the timetable as well as we got strategic planning. So again, this was something that was brought, which I'm greatly interested into through the discussions, what's going on in Area E.
Okay. Is there a response to that from staff in regards to the ability to put what would the timeline be in regards to a studies?
Well, Chair, thank you for the question. So timelines in relation to the study would easily be beyond a year. And that's somewhat aggressive. So of course, this is a challenge for us. We need to deal with when these applications come in, we need to deal with them in a timely manner. So, the question around the province, certainly that's a bigger discussion and require advocacy, and that would take time. The liquid waste management plan is the way around this, but again, of course, that's going to take time. So I don't know what the timelines are for the applicant, but clearly we want to get a decision for them. And then if something changes and if something changes a year further out, they always have the ability to come back at that point.
Okay. Anything further, Director Monteith? Okay, Director Roberts, I'll go to you, and then I've got Director Gettins and Coyne.
Yeah, thank you. I did send a question last meeting to staff asking whether or not the Headley Improvement District themselves, as they run the water system and other parts of the community services, are they able to do a liquid waste management, or is it strictly through the regional district? Because again, I'm ignorant of those facts.
Go to staff.
Chair, my understanding is it would have to be through the regional district. The improvement district doesn't have the ability to do that.
Okay. I'm going to go, if Director Gettins can hear us and can get on, I'll see her hand up first. Not seeing anything from there. Director Coyne and then McCordoff.
Yeah, can staff remind us how many square feet this property is?
I think it's in meters, but could be converted.
The reason I ask is because the minimum parcel size for, under the subdivision approval or the subdivision regulation act is different if you have if you're on a water system and then if you are not on a water system, and then it's ultimately up to the approving officer, who is not the regional district, it is the province. So this is why I have a problem with this whole thing, because they are on a water system that does allow for smaller lot size, and then ultimately it will be up to the approving officer, not the regional district, if the subdivision gets approved. And they do make allowances for smaller lots, especially ones that are grandfathered in like that, or not grandfathered, but historically different.
Okay. Was there a response to that?
Well, through the chair, so sorry, I was just trying to do some quick math here in relation to the parcel size question. So I believe the existing parcel is around 750, 800 square meters in area. And my understanding in relation to the approving officer is that one of the requirements is there to ensure compliance with local government bylaws. And this wouldn't comply with local government bylaw unless a variance or some other change is made, right? So.
Okay. I've got Director McCordoff and then Holmes.
Thank you. Having been involved with OBWB for the last 10 years, I appreciate the fact that they have been protecting the water in the Okanagan specifically for over 50 years. And that's what they do very well. They're one of the only such organizations in the country. And I just think that that blaming OBWB for this bylaw is not fair, because it's basically the provincial regulations that were provided that has made OBWB follow the provincial regulations. I totally understand this is a very confusing issue, and likely you're going to have to see changes over the years if we're going to increase our population and try and get people into smaller homes and affordable. I get it. But if we don't have water and we don't protect our water and our streams and our upland areas, any of us live here. So I just think that it's a really important issue to keep on the table and to abide by the rules at this time.
Okay, Director Holmes.
Yeah, thank you. So I can't speak for the province, but as Vice Chair of the OBWB, I take great exception to a claim that's saying the OBWB isn't listening. We discussed this issue at the board ad nauseum. Ad nauseum. We discuss it all the time. We understand it. The board understands it very well. But the board is handcuffed by what the province says, the same as we are. There's differences of opinion on the OBWB board. There are people on the OBWB board who said, who cares what the province says? We should be going our own way. So it's not just like this board here. There's not a consensus on it. So let's just stop blaming the OBWB all the time, okay?
Okay, I'm gonna go to Director Taylor. Go ahead.
First off, I do have indication from Director Gettens that she's not able to be heard. She has been talking, and she was asking if she could phone me, and I can put my phone to the mic because she wanted to speak to it. So I don't know if that's permissible or not.
I'm not sure how that's viewed in our.
And
I think, yeah, if she could phone Adam and go verbally, would that work better, Adam? Okay, we'll try to deal with that.
Okay.
Was there something else you wanted to
yes,
add?
and so long as Adam then is going to be going back to her and has her number.
I think we can.
She has a grant and she is affected by this.
Yes, absolutely. It's understandable. I'd like to be able to give her the opportunity to be heard.
Okay, so I'll go ahead with my comments in the meantime. Again, I'm not disagreeing with our efforts to try to address the subdivider's objectives, but he is asking for a variance. Secondly, there are options. We've discussed one of them, which is available to the community directly or through us. Alternately, the individual can look at a strata. Again, not attractive, but it is an option and takes more time. Yeah. That's tell me something new. So I really feel that this effort to push back on whichever body needs to change their policy, I support a review of that. But there's a time and a place for everything, and I don't think you do that not knowing what's the result is going to be, and at the same time put at risk 25 million in grant applications and potentially future ones. It just seems irresponsible to me.
Okay, I've got you, but I'm going to ask Adam if he's got Director Gettens online or not. Okay, obviously not. I'll go to Director Federico.
Thank you, the chair. So the only alternative we've offered is to develop a strata-owned private community system. So what if the owners were to look at either holding tanks, which have been approved by Interior Health and us here at the board, or, a little more radical in terms of composting toilet system and gray water reuse. So we've only offered one suggestion that, can be quite expensive. We're looking at other ways to be looking at our water and our watershed, but we're not coming up with any other creative solutions. So if they were to come forward with any of those alternatives, how supportive would that be?
I can't speak on that, but go to staff if they've got a
Sure.
thought.
So through the chair, it's not even a question of being supportive. The subdivision servicing bylaw sets out that strata systems are an appropriate form of wastewater disposal. And if that's what the applicant proposed and they met the standards set out by the bylaw, it's not a question for staff to say yay or nay to that. It's really if you're meeting those requirements and you comply, and that part of your subdivision is ticked off as complete, right?
Okay. Director Bush?
Yeah, I'm thinking that until the government changes their position, I think we should stay with not approving this at this point in time, but keep fighting the fight, because I don't believe that 2.5 acres, 1 hectare, it could be, especially in certain circumstances, it's way too much. It's over the top like most government regulations are.
Okay, Director Barkwell?
While we're waiting to connect with Director Riley, I'd like to ask Director Holmes what steps the Okanagan Basin Water Board is doing to address with the government what is clearly an unscientific and arbitrary kind of limitation on the provincial government's policies. And if it's a provincial government policy, why is it that other regions of the BC don't seem to be limited by this?
I don't know what's happening in other regions. I think we've had kind of all the information sent through to us from OBWB. I think they have asked the government to review it, and they have, and the government's come back and has has stated their reasons, whether you agree with them or not, why they're keeping it in place. We've had all this information come to us. It's in your inbox somewhere. I'm like I said, I'm not here to. I can't speak for the government, but the OBWB does not feel they should be going against the government policy because it's going to jeopardize, their funding as well. So.
Okay. Before I go to Director Taylor, I was going to make a comment, and 2 things, well, maybe 3. It was mentioned in regards to the need for more densification or housing ability or housing availability. The province actually made the point in their schmoo, if you want to call it that, small housing stuff. They specifically mentioned that parcels under 1 hectare were exempt from all those rules unless they were on sewer. All the rules that we had to adopt here to allow greater density on a parcel. That was specifically in the SMU regulations. The second point I was going to make is that this board has on multiple occasions, probably within the last 2 or 3 years, taken a motion to SILGA about the 1 hectare policy, and it gets voted down at SILGA every single time. We get nowhere with it. Everybody else has defeated it. Director Knodel and myself have taken this at UBCM to the ministers, and they look at you and say, this is our policy and this is what we're sticking with. And the final point I'll make is pushing back on the province really makes no sense because you're not pushing back on the province. You're giving them a rationale for saying they're not affecting them one way or the other. They're just getting an out to say, we can't fund these guys because they're not following their policy. We're not forcing them to adjust their policy. We're giving them an out to have a reason not to fund our grants. We can't afford that at this stage. So I'll leave it there. I will ask if we have Director Gettens online or not. Still technical difficulties there? Anybody else wish to speak to this?
I've got her here.
Okay. Can we put it up to the mic so we can actually hear her speak?
No.
She didn't pick up.
Now you've got a voice message? Yeah,
Can you hear me?
we can now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, awesome. Thanks so much. I just want to say thanks, everybody. Can you still hear me?
We can.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
thanks. I don't know if I'm talking into my phone or to WebEx, so I'm just gonna keep them both going here for a second. I apologize. I just want to say thanks to everybody who had acknowledged that, you know, we do have a system that we work within, and it's frustrating at times for sure. But it is a system in how we get grants for citizens. I can't support risking potential grants for thousands of citizens in an effort to push back on the government. I'll support the fight to change this, but Director Penticton, Chair, just said, really, we have already been doing that, and we're not getting anywhere. And I don't want to have another reason for the province to say no to a grant that we need to have moving forward. So I cannot support this and set that precedence. And I get the frustration and why it might be different elsewhere, but I just simply can't on behalf of the region. I will not support this. Thank you.
Okay. Director Holmes?
Yeah, you know, also OBWB does have funding available to do liquid waste management plans, you know, so that's one thing. And also they have offered to come to this board to present on this topic on the 1 hectare. So if we want to have them come, they're happy to come anytime, and we can ask them directly these questions.
Okay, that's a good idea potentially in the future. Director Coyne?
Just a quick question to Director Holmes. Does that mean the OBWB will fund a liquid waste management plan outside their region? Since that's what you're implying.
I'm not sure on that, but
Probably not.
probably, yeah, you're probably right. It's probably not, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm not seeing any more hands, so I am going to call the question on this. This is a rural vote, so all those in favor? And before we go there, it is a motion to approve at this time. That's what's on the floor. So the motion on the floor is to approve. All those in favor? Okay. All those opposed? Do you want me to list them off for you, Ms. Batten? Okay, I'll start with Director Chahal, Director Bush, Director Fedrigo, Director Pendergraft, Director Taylor, Director Gettens. That motion is defeated. Is there someone prepared to make an? Director Roberts, go ahead.
Thank you very much. And I know I voted for and that it was against from, and everybody, what they added, I really appreciate all the information. Again, it's not just about a fight back versus the province, but it's finding a formula to deal with areas like Headley that are in and of themselves a historical and not grandfather, but a historical site, and the footprint that it has. And I definitely be looking into liquid waste management and any other suggestions, because again, I have very few places where we can have or have had historically the small lots, which is Olalla and Headley, and I have very little anywhere else that has any space for any residents. So thank you again for everybody. I know it was a passionate discussion, and I do appreciate everyone's points of view and understand their hesitancy.
Okay. Director Taylor?
I think we've got a item on the floor, correct?
Not any longer.
Well-
We're still on item C1.
Yeah.
Yes, we
Right.
would
I'll
need
move
an
the staff.
alternative motion.
I'll move the staff recommendation.
Okay, so you're moving the original recommendation to deny. Is there a seconder for that? Seconded. Thank you. Any further discussion needed on this one? We've been through this pretty much all, but I'll go to Director Coyne.
It's not on the motion, it was on on what Director Roberts was saying. We have to find a way for these historical communities that predate the regional districts, and in some cases, this country and this province, because those lots were set out a long, long time ago. And when we're talking Colmont, Tulameen, we're talking about pre-Confederation in some cases. So we have to keep that in mind, and we have to find a way to be able to let those people who own those properties be able to live on their properties.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that, but in this case, this individual, maybe not this individual, but a previous individual consolidated them from 3 into 1, and then the new person wants to put them back. That's a different story than what was there in the past. So that's a future discussion for sure. It's something we're going to have to look into, but on this specific topic, on the motion to deny, is there any other discussion? Director Roberts?
I'm not sure if the owner of the parcel is online. Do we have, because this is actually gone against his ask.
You're correct. I should ask if the applicant is online or in the room and wishes to speak to it. I'm not seeing from Adam, he's saying no, there's nobody here on it. Good point. Thanks for the reminder. Seeing no further discussion though, I will call the question. All those in favor? It's a rural vote. All those in favor of denying this one, all hands up. All right, and those opposed? That motion carries. I didn't see any hands, so I see no hands, and if I'm wrong on that, let me know, but I don't see any hands, so the motion carries. C2 is removed, so C3, a temporary use in Area E, CAO. A new CAO. Over to you, Noel.
Thank you. This application is seeking to authorize the operation of a short-term rental accommodation use on the property at 2750 Noyes Road in Naramata through the issuance of a short-term rental permit. The administrative recommendation is on the screen and staff is here to answer any questions.
Okay, I'll go to Director Federico.
I will move the staff administrative recommendation, please.
Okay, so you're moving it. Is there a seconder for it? Thank you. It's on the floor. Any discussion on this one? Director Taylor?
Just a quick question in terms of procedure to staff. Do all in Area E, do all applications have to come to the board then?
Go to staff.
To the chair, no. The CAO delegation bylaw does include a number of criteria against which staff will assess an application to determine if it can be approved at a staff level or if it requires consideration by the board. One of those criteria is negative representations being received. In this case, there was one representation received opposing the permit, and that's why it's in front of the board.
Okay, Director Federico?
Thank you through the chair. So I have a question and then kind of a comment on that. But once we have our EA committee, then this would go to the EA committee, correct? Hold on though. Would it first go to the EA committee
If it
for
had
us?
to come
If it has
forward.
to come to the board, if there's one negative negative representation, would that go to the EA committee or does that come to the board?
We are anticipating that it would still just come directly to the board.
Okay, so can I follow up on that then? So then in looking at that, because this one only had one representation, I'm not sure how the board feels where if we put a mark on, say, like, if there's 5 negative representation or a few, it goes on the consent agenda, and then it's up to the director or another director to remove it from consent. So that way we're not sitting in process here where there was only 1. So appreciate it coming to the board so that there's still consideration and discussion from the board. But if there's a nominal amount, then there's an option then to remove it from consent to have a broader conversation, just so we're not stuck in small detail like this.
Okay, Director Monteith?
Thank you through the chair. So I like where you're going with this, but I want to point out that some streets only have 5 homes. If you only have 1 person write in, that's a big amount. But maybe it's a percentage of those that are notified versus a.
That'd
Yeah.
be a policy
I'm
we'd have to
just putting it
consider
there.
at
Like, I
some
like where
point.
you're going, but I'm just saying that it should be a percentage of those notified, not just like 5, because that could be an entire street for me.
That's a discussion we'll have to have in the future on this as we get there. So on this specifically, anything further? Seeing none, again, roll vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. That brings us to Community Services. Item D1, Parks and Rec Commission appointments. Over to the CAO.
Thank you. Yep, these are the Parks and Rec Commission appointments for 2025, and they are on your screen, and I believe we have an addition, so I will turn this over to Tracy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just in addition, into the electoral area D, Okanagan Falls, there, Chris Lee is being added to the list as well to be included in the motion.
Okay. So one more name on there. All right. Someone prepared to move this? Mover, seconder, thank you. Any discussion? This is fairly straightforward. I'll call the question, and it is a corporate vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Over to Finance, E1, Community Works Fund, Reserve Expenditure, CAO.
Thank you. This is to authorize the additional expenditure of $58,449 from Electoral Area I Community Works Fund Reserve for the Cleedon Volunteer Fire Department fire truck purchase and fire hall upgrades, and to change the funding source for miscellaneous expenses in the Cleedon Fire Department operating budget in order to complete fire hydrant retrofits, flow testing, and jacket purposes. The administrative recommendation is on the screen, and Finance is here to answer any questions.
Okay, I'll go to Director Monteith.
Yes, I'd like to make the administrative recommendation.
Okay, moving it. It's seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing no hands, again, corporate vote. All those in favor? Oh, did you have a question, Director Coyne? Okay, it's not related to this specifically? Okay. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? Motion carries. Director Coyne?
I'm just wondering, it says fire hydrant retrofits or whatever. Why is that not under water or?
We don't have one.
Oh, because you don't have one.
Mhm.
Oh, because it's a public works thing, not a fire department.
Slightly different for us than in a municipality. E2, a 5-year financial plan amendment for the temporary winter shelter contribution, CAO.
This is to contribute $4,400 to the City of Penticton's temporary winter shelter program to help cover a portion of the November and December 2025 building lease costs. And the administrative recommendation is on the screen, and Finance is here to answer any questions.
Okay, Director Taylor, you're moving it. Seconder, thank you. Any discussion on this one? Again, another one that we've kind of seen in the past, so call the question. Corporate vote, all in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. E3, another 5-year financial plan amendment. Go to CAO.
Thank you. This is to incorporate the board's December 4th, 2025 decision to relocate the RDOS communication equipment from the Mount Nicola CBC Vista site to the Nicola Omega Communications site in the 2025 to 2029 financial plan. And the administrative recommendations on the screen, and staff are here to answer any questions.
Okay, looking for a motion on this one. Someone prepared to move it? Moved, seconded, thank you. Any discussion on this? think we've seen this in committee. Not seeing any hands. Again, a corporate vote. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Over to Legislative Services, Municipal Finance Authority appointments for 2026. CAO.
Yes, this is to make the yearly member appointments to the Municipal Finance Authority of BC. And our administrative recommendation is on the screen. And Tracy's here to answer any questions.
Okay, someone prepared to move this one? Moved, thank you. A seconder, it's on the floor, thank you. Any discussion? This is a standard thing every year. We have to make the appointments. Seeing none, again, corporate, all those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Skaha Estates Improvement District Conversion Service Establishment Bylaw, CAO.
This is to facilitate the transfer of the Skaha Estates Improvement District assets and services to the Regional District of Okanagan's Milk Community Service. And the administrative recommendation is on the screen.
Okay, I'll go to Director Taylor on this. I'm hoping thinking he's going to want to move it.
Yeah, I'll move this.
Okay, moved, seconded. It's on the floor. Any discussion? Seeing none, corporate. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. That brings us to the CAO reports. We did G2, but I'm not sure if you had anything you wanted to report on under G1 CAO. Go ahead.
Yes, I believe we do have an EOC report for you.
And Sean's coming up, so over to you, Sean.
Thank you very much. That's through the chair. Just want to provide a update in regards over to the Emergency Operations Center for the past week here. First of all, I just want to thank you very much over to the Town of Princeton EOC, the Tulameen Fire Department, the Lower Similkameen Indian Band, Upper Similkameen Indian Band, Eastgate, and our other partners. I think this was a very successful response from the EOC here over the past week. A lot of great partnerships. So just a brief update. I know I've been sending all the elected official updates over from the EOC here, but just want to give you a brief update. So the EOC has actually rescinded a lot of the alerts and orders over the past few days that we are currently over to the RDOS EOC is currently in the process over to rescind the remainder of the EOC orders and alerts that are in place here. The RDOS currently has 559 properties on alert in Tulameen, 130 in Eastgate, and 1 in Chapaka. And we're anticipating within the next few days here, everybody will be off the orders and alerts. Just in regards over to emergency support services, the EOC did provide coverage for up to 3 families with 1 dog. And that was a very small response for us. However, our volunteers did a fantastic job in the community. In regards over to mutual aid, the RDOS, EOC, in support of various fire departments in the region all came together to support the community of Princeton and at Tulameen on a Monday evening with sandbagging support and Tiger Dam deployment. That we found a crew of 15 firefighter volunteers from surrounding fire departments. And that was a real big win for us. As well as our EOC has supported the Lower Similkameen Indian Band since yesterday following the windstorm with over 10 of the rapid damage assessments. And those are primarily done after a house has been impacted. We get the building inspectors and the trained individuals that would do an inspection around the property to ensure it's safe over to go back into. So that was extremely successful yesterday. In addition, the EOC is supporting in a partnership with LSIB in regards over to the Ashnola, the river, and supporting the landslides that occurred over the past week. So again, and the very good partnerships over with the Lower Similkameen and the Town of Princeton and our other fire departments. So the RDOS is asking the province over for an after action report. So that will hopefully come out and show the wins and opportunities for how we can improve. That's all the updates I have.
Okay, well, thank you. And thanks for all the efforts to all those in the EOC during the times that, well, it's still ongoing, but thanks for everything. It's much appreciated by everyone, specifically those that are being affected, so. Not seeing any questions or comments on that. We'll move on to the next one. Anything further from the CAO before I?
No, nothing further.
Okay. Board members' verbal updates. Anything to report on from your community, Director Coyne?
Yeah, just building off of what Sean just said. I think this was probably one of our most successful joint operations since we've been doing this. And I can't say thank you enough to the RDOS and all of our partners, LSIB, USIB, Village of Carameas. The fire departments came together, worked their butts off. So thanks to everybody. Quick update on Highway 3. We are now in contact regularly with the project manager on that. We don't have an estimated time of opening on Highway 3 through the whole Princeton. They had a major slough in on, not yesterday, the day before, I guess, and they were hoping to be able to get on the ground today or tomorrow to actually investigate it because it was still moving as of yesterday. But one lane is completely undermined, and so they're going to have to figure out how to get past that spot. But yeah, other than that, I think, the RDOS should be proud of the response and the cooperation, and been doing this a long time, and I think, honest to God, this was our best showing yet. So kudos to our teams across the valley and really showing that we can work together.
Okay, thanks for that. Good news in that front. Any further verbal updates from anybody in their communities or? Seeing none there. Strategic Priorities Board amendments. Over to the CAO. I'm not sure where this one's headed, so.
Unfortunately, Matt, who would be giving a presentation, is not well today. So he is at home. So we do not have any updates for you.
Okay, so nothing there. The board action items update. I'm assuming that would be the same individual. So no Matt, no update. Chair's report. I don't have a whole lot to report on other than we did have another OK Falls incorporation meeting with the province, and I guess the discussions are ongoing, and hopefully we can still keep them to the date they've committed to have a mayor and council in place by October and of the election time is what I'm meaning. It's looking promising, and I guess we'll see where it ends up. Nothing else from myself. Director's motions. We do have a couple of those on here. The first one from Director Roberts.
Yes, thank you. I've had a good opportunity to have some discussions with the CO and with Wayne has been very helpful. I have concerns in regards to the structure of the bylaw in regards to the Route 50 and the Similkameen. That being said, I think my concern has a solution. My concern was how, sticking to particular numbers that are supposed to be on an allotment that move and shift for 5 years and set things within a bylaw, as well as did the bylaw have the flexibility for us to expand? And does our financial structure also meet the needs to being able to, expand up 5A and expand down 3 towards Costin and ultimately to Osoyoos? And at the moment, I think the funding model is fine as long as we can put in a policy to attach to it, which would have that through a transparent manner of getting the ridership and those who get on where they're from. Because again, Carameas is a place where you're going to have your Area B people, your Area G people getting on. So using an actual stop doesn't necessarily work, but that every couple of years that we are able to assess the numbers to be able to see changes and whether or not the numbers hold true. And if over a period of time we have a consistency, or if we have to look at the model differently, that we have that opportunity. But I think the only way we're going to have that information if we have a policy of a more regular check on allotment uses, so that we can be fair and equitable in regards to our percentages as we move forward. Thank you.
Okay, so it doesn't look like there's a motion on the floor. I think that's going to be a future discussion on policy and transit, but I'll go to Director Coyne.
Yeah, I just want to get clarification from Tracy. We just approved this bylaw. In order to change anything, we would have to go back to change, like, full amendment of the bylaw with the voter assent. Is that not correct?
Yes, this is an establishment bylaw, so in order to change it, we would need to come back to the board, and I would have to check in what type of elector assent we would require.
Okay. With that being said, then I think we should probably send this back to staff for further work and bring it back at a later date, because we're talking almost, 3-4 months before we can change anything, and it's not going to get done right now.
Yeah, and if we were going to ask staff to do more work on it, I think we're going to have to look at our strategic priorities list. So we'll sort of put it in staff's court and see where it goes to from there. Did you have a question, Director Bush?
Yeah, I'm just wondering who decides on the on-call system for Area B. Okay?
BC Transit.
Okay, and so it's still going to be no on-call system?
I think there isn't at this stage, but that's a request we'd have to make to BC Transit and
Yeah, we're
Director
going
Coyne?
if because this is what was voted on and whatnot, and this is what BC Transit's approved to fund. If we want any major changes, we have to go back to BC Transit, get it in their work plan, and bring it forward. And unfortunately, we were under the understanding the service wasn't going to change. It has changed since then, so we're kind of stuck with what we have. I mean, Matt's not here, so, but we need to have a sit down between the participants and with Matt, and then go talk to BC Transit and figure it out from there. And I think if we're going to change the bylaw, that's when we would do it, is after we have those conversations and see if there's a willingness on BC Transit part to change their funding formula. And that can take up to 5 years.
Long range stuff. Director Taylor?
If we're going to have a conversation with BC Transit, there might be other routes that would want to have some discussion. So maybe it's worthwhile arranging for something like we do with Mott.
Yeah, well, BC Transit does come in every now and then. I'm not sure when the next official time they're supposed to come in and present to us, but we'll look into a time to have them come to the board.
Yeah, I'm just not, with all due respect, I'm not sure that the board is the right place to have some of the discussion. I really enjoy, I get a lot out of the working sessions we have with Mott.
Okay. We'll see where that one goes. The other director's motion was from Director Coyne.
I'd like to make the motions before you. It's to bring an MOU forward between the City of Penticton and RDOS on the mutual expectations of the temporary winter shelter. And then the second part is on the agreement to the 80,000 financial contribution, and making sure that that is that we have a voice at that table as the regional district. And just trying to read it from here. And we have assurances.
Okay, so you're moving.
Yeah. Do you want me to read it all, or? I need bigger glasses.
It is in our package, so I'm going to assume that most people have read it. It's rather a lengthy motion, but at this stage, is this a notice or are we moving it today?
No, I made a notice at the last meeting.
Yes, that's right. I recall that now. So you're moving it. Is there a seconder for this before we? Director Roberts is seconding it, I'm assuming. Okay, it's on the floor for discussion then. Anybody want to speak to this or questions? I'm missing, oh, Director Bloomfield, go ahead.
Thank you, and through the chair. Yeah, we've obviously talked about this, and I've looked it over and put a fair bit of thought into it, and we like the motion, or I think we like the motion, but there's a couple of points that I think would help clarify everybody's position here. And if we had, and I'm just looking at my notes here, so excuse me for a minute, but on the reporting for in the second phase, so it's really in 2 stages. The first part is regarding the temporary winter shelter, and there's items 1 and 2 there, and we're that's fine. We have it'll be open till the end of March 31st, 2026, and after that it depends on BC Housing funding for any continued operations there. Non-discriminatory access, not a problem. Allowing access for regional district residents, that need that access, not a problem. As we move into the agreement with 100 More Homes that we debated before and agreed to, the regular reporting, it would be better if 100 More Homes did the regular reporting and provided regular updates to the RDOS board. We could certainly do that. We could have city staff here to do that in conjunction with the reporting. But since they're the actual service provider, then it's probably better to have 100 More Homes do that. And on the RDOS representation, Penticton doesn't have a position on their housing initiatives team, but certainly we could, we'd agree to support the RDOS having a position on the 100 More Homes committee that would cover this service, equal to the same position that the city of Penticton has. And the project continuity assurance, not a problem there, I don't think. We've got it in our budget for a 3-year term, and so that's been passed, and so I think we're okay. So just those basic 2 changes. It's in the second section, it's section 1. So changing that from the city of Penticton to 100 More Homes, and then in section 2, it's a little more vague, but it would be granting a seat or a position on the 100 More Homes, within 100 More Homes, to ensure regional participation and oversight. And that's just I guess that's a motion for an amendment, but yeah.
That's what I was going to say. That sounds like it needs to be an amendment, but
so I'll make that motion for that amendment.
I'll accept that as a friendly amendment. It's just a
okay. So he's willing to take them as friendly, just the wording there.
Okay.
As long as Miss Batten can capture that. Any further discussion on this while that's happening? Director Holmes.
Yeah, so who would be the RDOS representative? A staff member or?
I guess that would probably be a board member, and I'm not sure, or staff.
If I understand correctly, the city of Penticton has a staff member, not a board member. So to keep it non-political, it'd probably be best if it was a staff member. I'm not expecting a lot of workload there.
I'm not sure who to say would be doing that, but Ms. Batten?
Mr. Chair, could I just have for this point number 2, the RDOS representation, where the seat? I missed that.
Granted a seat on the 100 More Homes committee, I think was, or what is it called, Director Bloomfield?
Let's just see here. Just looking at my notes again. It's a steering committee at 100 more homes, and then there's other subcommittees, but basically it'd be the steering committee that are administered by United Way and 100 more homes.
Okay. On the steering committee for United Way and 100 more homes.
Yes.
Okay. And then that would remove the initiatives team wording after that.
I would just, if rather than, you could be specific, but do we want to make sure that we get equal representation to the city of Penticton on the different committees? Because it may be more than one committee.
I'll go to Director Coyne on that.
I just want us to have a seat at whatever we're paying into. I just
Yeah,
want to protect the regional district's interests.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know what their representation is, if it's 10 or 1 or whatever. If it's 1 and 1, that's great. If it's 10 and 1, I mean, even then I'm okay with it. I just want the regional district represented.
Yeah, and yeah, I think we're on the same page there. Yeah.
All right, so everybody can see those changes. Any further discussion? Not seeing any other hands. I'll call the question on this, and it is corporate. All those in favor? Thank you. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any other motions from the board? All right, moving on. Board representations. Nothing from MFA or MIA, OBWB, anything there, Director Holmes?
There was no board meeting this month. We were in strategic planning.
Okay, anything from the Film Commission, Director Coyne?
We have a meeting tonight, so I'm hoping I make it home in time.
Okay. Okanagan Regional Library, anything there? Nothing? Sterile insect release, Director Bush, nothing? Simia, Director Coyne?
No, we meet once a year.
Nothing there then, Director Bush, Starling Control, nothing? Etsy BC, Director McCordoff?
Yes, thank you. We have had a meeting in December and where we approved grants, fall intake grants of $1,042,000 in the regional, that's through the whole region, but in the South Okanagan or in Similkameen, the RDOS, the Okanagan Food Hub in Summerlin got $75,000. The Oliver Heritage Society got $25,000, and the Similkameen Country Development Association got $25,000. So that's from our regional district, and there are many regional districts involved. So that was a good thing. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for that. And the last one is the Collaborative Leadership Table, and the next meeting for that, I believe, is in February, but so nothing to report there. And then we have a Ryzen report, and I'm going to ask the CO to please report and
Thank you.
Ryzen report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The board has directed a Ryzen report from the December 18th closed session, which was today. And the report is that the board has decided to list 101 Martin Street, Penticton, for sale at the December 18th in-camera meeting.
Okay, thank you for that. And looking for a motion to adjourn. Moved, seconded, all in favor? I will just have to send that straight to the staff, but I believe we are going to meet. I'll go to Ms. Batten.
Yes, if you would like to attend the Christmas gathering, it's at the Black Antler.
The Black Antler? Okay, which is that direction. I think we should be there pretty quick, if not have been there already. And Merry Christmas to everybody and all the best.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Thanks.